Hello there, here's part two of my fireball shooter platform, whatever it is. This is where I made it, developed it, and so I'll show you how it actually um, makes this, this thing. Um, if you didn't watch the first video, it flashes and then you can take the scripted item and shoot it somewhere like that. So if there, if there's any surrounding blocks here, which are within, I believe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, 1, 2, yeah, that railing is 4. So if there's any blocks here, when I stash it, they will be erased because actually it's filling this area with air. So that's something to be aware of. And how I first did this was, you can see down here, I broke it up into parts just to make it easier to look at, and I use the Minecraft clone command. And so what I did is, if I was standing over here, it would clone in this piece and the two adjacent pieces. So, oops. If I was standing on this piece, which I was trying to jump to, it would clone in this piece, and the one I'm standing on. So that's what it did. The problem with cloning is that it only has a certain range. When the block is not loaded, then it won't work if it's not in a loaded chunk. I put a chunk loader guy here that helped, but that really only helps for like 10 minutes to have a chunk loader. So that's what I did. The other side would have been just filled with air then to erase whatever was there previously, depending on which corner or side I was standing on. Whoops, and I was just using this air down here to do that. So what I did instead was I actually just took each little, and well, that was destroyed. We had some issues down here, but I just took each orientation, which there are 8. There's 4 corners and 4 sides, and that was easy enough to do just by putting this guy out and then taking away what I didn't need. And what I did was, in here, that block looks the same, but it's really not. What this does is it writes a file, and it writes a function, and it writes all the blocks that are within 4 by 4 by 4 and 4 up from this block, and it gives a relative position. And you can see that here, if we look at this file, which looks like a big mess, but so that's what I did. I put an initialization function, and I made a variable, all points, and it gives a relative position and the type of block it is and the metadata. And then when it does all that, it puts that in a temp data, that variable array, I should say, yeah, that array variable. It puts it in a variable, and this one happens to be all points, so this is actually the thing when it's fully deployed, and so it's accessible by the rest of the program. Let me go over here, and I'll just if you look at the block, if I look at the script within the block here, you see it has, this is what controls the text on the scripted block and those types of things, the setting of the different variables. And then these other tabs are for these initialization programs or functions. I guess they're programs. And each one has a separate tab because otherwise only one initialization function will only run per tab, but if you put them in different tabs, they'll all run. So these are all initialization ones, and it just depends on what block orientation. Like that was all points, and then this last one is race, and that means it's just air blocks basically. So that's how that works. And actually, after I had this little guy here, it was really no problem. I just I have, I put those in the scripting directory and I just loaded them into the scripted block. I will show you that later, but so yeah, so that's how I did that, and then I'll show you one more video on the script of it. So thanks for watching.